Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, as you can tell from the title, is my top 10 romance reads of the year so far. I have well and truly been in my romance era, and it's not even just like a specific type of romance too. I've been into my regular schmegular rom-coms to your hockey romance, cowboy romance, dark romance, all of the above basically. So I feel like I've read enough this year to be like, do you know what, here are my favorite 10 so far, and I'm hoping to get more obviously as the year goes on. So I'm going to start with the 6 physical books and then move on to the 4 that I read on my Kindle. So without further ado, here are the top romance books that I've read this year so far. Yeah, you know what I mean. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is actually the first book of a series that I wish I just carried on with already, but it's just the books aren't as accessible. You can order them from Amazon, but I like to find my books from actual bookstores and supporting brick and mortar ones. Anyway, that's a whole rant for a whole other time. So anyway, the first book I've got here is a 5-star read for me, and it is Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. If you don't know, Krista and Becca Ritchie are the authors of the Addicted series as well as the Calloway series. So to give you a little bit of background, the Addicted series focuses on Lily and Lo's relationship, and then the Calloway sister series follows Lily's 2 sisters, Daisy and Rose. So Addicted to You is the very first book in actually both series because they kind of intertwine and you can read them in a specific order in terms of Addicted and Calloway sister series. But yeah, so we are introduced to Lily and Lo. This isn't a spoiler at all, but Lily and Lo have their own addictions to deal with. So Lo is an alcoholic and then Lily is a sex addict. They are both very rich, very privileged children, and they basically strike up a deal to fake date so that their parents would basically back off on them and their secret addictions don't basically get leaked out. I think it's really interesting because obviously there's like that romance aspect, but I love a fake dating trope anyway, but with them it's so deep, as well as like the friendship is obviously very much there, and that's what I really appreciated with this book. I have read book 2 of the series, which is Ricochet, and I just feel like this set the scene very well. I just really enjoyed this, and the characters are so well fleshed out that I think you do find yourself connecting a lot with them. I don't know, the way they were written was just so good. So if you are looking to read quite a darker series that follows not just like the fake dating trope obviously, but like found family, etc., I feel like it might be worth looking into the Addicted series, but please do look up trigger warnings. Book number 2 is going to be Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Let's start with the fact that I personally am not the biggest fan of friends to lovers, but I love when lovers have a friendship, if that makes sense. Like, for example, with them, they are very much grumpy sunshine in the sense that it's reversed. So he's sunshine and she's the grumpy. He's a big hockey player. He's like a golden retriever, and she is like this super strict, super serious figure skater. And it's forced proximity, and it's also found family. Again, it's like a college hockey romance, but the spice in this book, I mean, oh wait, I didn't even say. Yeah, the spice in this book is obviously going to be expected, considering that we are dealing with someone who has a sex addiction. But the spice in this is like, it was so good. Like, do not let this cover fool you, because the contents of this book does not match. He was just so nice and so sweet to her, and he protected her without being like that, oh, I'm a man, I must protect you. Like, it was really well done, and the storyline was quite deep, but it was just such a fun read because most of the time it was just them messing around, having a good time, and it just was like quite a fluffy read. I was like kicking my feet, like giggling, that kind of cute. So definitely recommend this. Okay, the next book I'm going to show you is probably my favorite book of the year so far, and definitely one of my favorite books of all time, but it is Emily Henry's Happy Place. I have never read Emily Henry before Happy Place. I know that people love her and she is very much like the queen of like rom-coms and banter, but Happy Place was just such a good book. This was a huge tearjerker for me. I really found myself in the main character. So just to give you an idea, we follow Win and Harriet. Again, these aren't spoilers, these will be found in the blurb, but Win and Harriet are ex-fiancés. They're part of like a group of friends where there's 3 couples basically, and so to spend the last summer at the lake house that they go to every year, they are going to have to pretend that they are still together. There's that fake dating thing again, but this time it's quite heartbreaking because they were together for 8 years, and there's definitely like the miscommunication trope in there, which is like the only thing that made me be a bit like ugh, but I think that it actually added value to the book. Sometimes miscommunication is just there for the sake of conflict, I feel like, whereas in this book I actually felt like it was necessary. But this made me cry so much. I gave this an infinite stars out of 5. Honestly, I will recommend this to everybody until my dying day. Like, this is the one for me. Okay, next up we have a fluffy rom-com, and it is Mr. Roll Number by Lynn Painter. I've never read any of Lynn Painter's books, but I know that she wrote Better Than the Movies and The Do-Over, but I also understand that those are more YA romances, whereas this was like her first go at a adult romance. This got me out of a book reading slump because it was just so fluffy, it was so cute. She moves in with her big brother, and then she doesn't realize that her big brother is actually also living with his best friend who she has never got on with. There's obviously a bit of tension, and you know, like sometimes you get that brother's best friend trope where the tension is just like super instant, whereas with them it was just like genuine tension because it's like that awkward, like, that's my friend's little sister, like, or why am I around my brother's best friend kind of thing. It was realistic, and also they genuinely respected each other, because a lot of the times with romance books there's a lack of the guy just being nice to her. Like, sometimes some guys take the grumpy a little bit too far, let's just say, but in this one it was just so cute. They are so opposites attract. I don't think the spice in this was like crazy. I think it's for the most part quite tame. So if you're not someone who enjoys really spicy romances but loves just a little sprinkle of it, definitely try out Mr. Roll Number. I think I gave this one like a 4 star. I know I said that I was going to then do all of my physical books and then my Kindle books, but basically we have a series here, and the series currently has 4 books. Why am I talking about this right now? Because all 4 of them are going to be included. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I love this series, and it's so annoying because I picked up books 2 and 3 and I need book 1 and 4 obviously to complete the collection. But let me show you the physical books because you'll know what I'm talking about. Elsie Silver. Honestly, I need to collect my thoughts for a minute because I can talk about this series for days on end. When I say I ate this shit up, I ate this up. So I read them all on my Kindle, but I found these 2 bad boys at the works and they're put up to 3 for £6. I need to find Flawless and Reckless. So Chestnut Spring series, okay, this is what we're talking about. Rhett and Summer are book 1 Flawless characters. So this is where we start. Summer is doing like an internship or something, or like she works for her dad basically, who is like a PR dude for like these bull riders, and Rhett is like this bad boy bull rider. There's a bit of an age gap. I think she's in her early 20s and he's like in his early 30s. He's a little bit of a bad boy, you know, no one can tame him. He's just this crazy bull rider. So her dad's like, he needs someone to babysit him. She ends up tagging along with him to his family's ranch. She's like babysitting him and everything. I'd say that the tropes in it would be like forbidden romance, because that was like your agent's daughter. I'd say forced proximity as well, because they had to obviously stay very close to each other because she was babysitting him. The spice in this book was great. I was just here for it. Book number 2 is Heartless, and we follow Daddy Kate Eaton and Willa. This is a single dad romance. This is the nanny romance, that kind of thing. So basically Willa is Summer's best friend from the first book, and she's like, I don't want to be in the city anymore, like let me come hang out with you for a bit. And then at the same time Kate's like, I need someone to look after my boy, and just, you know, just to help out so she can be with her friend, and boy does she look after them. The spice in this was even better, dare I say, and that man was just absolute perfection. Like, he's that stern, grumpy. The trope in this though, like the main trope, like if you've read it you know what I mean, but the main trope that you find out like at the end, I've never had experience with that trope and I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but you know what, I actually wasn't mad. This is definitely like a 5-star read for me. This is probably a tie with the other favorite book that I've got, which I will talk to you about in a little bit. So book 3 is then Powerless, and this follows Jasper, who is, so by the way, Cade is eldest. You can just tell that he was like the eldest. This follows Jasper and Sloane. Jasper is like the adopted brother, and then Sloane is actually the Eton boys' cousin. So there's like that joke that they're like, oh my god, you're like basically kissing cousins. This is the very first time I read a friends to lovers trope that I actually really loved. Miscommunication, friends to lovers, those are like 2 of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to like romantic tropes, and this book had that. But this book is perfect. This is also a 5-star for me. This was just so nice. I don't know, he was just super respectful of her. The way they were friends. Like, you could really feel that they were friends even after they, you know, obviously get together. The way he was with her was protective and caring, but without that, like, without it feeling like a bit cheesy, like macho-y. Like, he wasn't doing it because he wanted to be like, me man, you woman, I protect you. It's probably the most wholesome. However, the spice again is just Elsie Silver. She knows what she's doing. She's doing it right and she's doing it well. And then, so like I said, the 4th book is also a 5-star read. Number 4 is Reckless. I read that one on the Kindle. Reckless follows Summer's older sister, Winter, and her partner in this book is a man called Theo de Silva. Oh my god, yeah. Oh, wait, what? There's 3 brothers. The 3 brothers, the adopted brother, and this guy, Theo, is Rhett from the first book's like prodigy. So when Rhett was an up-and-coming bull rider, Theo's dad was the one who basically mentored him, and then now he is trying to do the same with Theo. Like, he's this cute mummy's boy, but he's a bull rider, so he's a little bit of like a daredevil, a little bit cheeky as well. He gives strong like Rhett vibes, but the only reason why I think he has way more BDE than Rhett does is because of the trope that happens in it, which I can't really say because I don't know if that's going to spoil it for you. Like, it happens within like the first couple of chapters, but I'm just not going to say it. But I also want you to read it, so maybe do that. The way he is to Winter, this man makes sure that Winter doesn't need to ever question, and she is an overthinker, so she's constantly like, oh my god, I don't know if he's like genuinely into me, and he literally just every day, yes, I will assure you, there is a reason why this series is so hyped up, and you, if you haven't read any of the books yet, really need to get on with it because it is so good. It's so good. I will read anything that lady writes. Chestnut Spring series. So I read the 4 books from a Chestnut Spring series that I was like, I don't think I'm ready to come out of my cowboy romance era. So what does your girl do? She reads Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. First of all, you guys have seen this cover everywhere, and I really want to get it in hard copy because it's a beautiful cover. So the trope in this is brother's best friend and small town, obviously, and he is like this bad boy, a bit of a womanizer. She's the town sweetheart. I love when romance books are realistic, that you can kind of see it happening. This felt a bit like that, and the conflict wasn't super dramatic, and like the 3rd act drama was like not super dramatic, so it felt really possible, I guess. But I loved their relationship. I love, again, because they had this friendship going on and they genuinely cared about each other, and it was just so good, and I highly recommend that you read this. And there is going to be book 2 coming out. She is called Emmy or Clementine, and he is called Luke. So book 2 follows Clementine's brother Wes, and I think like the interior designer he hires for like this guest house or something. Like I said, amazing covers, but also just a really fun, cute, light-hearted storyline. Give it a go. And then the last book that I have, I'm almost a little bit nervous to tell you what it is, but it is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This was my venture into Penelope Douglas's work. This is my first and only one so far, but the trope in this is ex-boyfriend's dad. I was just super intrigued because I was like, let's see what this is about. And I, at times, was a little bit freaked out, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, I actually really enjoyed it. I just didn't know what to expect. I gave it like a 4.5 stars or like a 4 stars or something like that. I don't know, just the way it was done didn't feel super icky, I guess. I recommend it if you don't find that trope unbearable, basically. Okay, so those are my top 10 favorite romance reads of the year so far. Let me know if you have read any of them or if you have any suggestions, because obviously I'm going to read way more towards the end of the year anyway. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.